Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
I just hope the new unique skill I get at Mythic rank is more useful. Immortal was useful. Its upgrades were not. After completing his action, he checked the time. It's midnight. I guess I'll go meet Paimon before tomorrow's classes. Neo decided to another shower to cleanse the impurities stuck to his skin. The impurities were expunged from him during his breakthrough. They smell bad. After taking the shower, Neo lay on the bed. He activated the death skill. There was a shift, and Neo appeared in the underworld. Neo opened his eyes and found himself sitting on the sofa. He was in the same room as the one he had been the last time. "Welcome back, child." Paimon was waiting for him. "You took longer than I expected. I take it as you have found your answer." "Yes, I did." Paimon could see the maturity behind Neo's gaze. He had grown. It was clear to her Neo gained the understanding of emotions. "What is the answer?" "Emotions." Neo recalled the first vision. It was a perfect life. He had a happy family, good friends, loving wife, people who respected him, money. There was not a single problem. But he left the vision. He was angry at that life. He hated it. He never wanted to lose it. Instead of being happy that he got to experience such a life and moving on, he was filled with rage. He tried to go back to that fake life because he was led by his emotions. Emotions are a bird. They hinder the ability to think rationally. Paimon smiled at his answer. Neo continued. Emotions. In his second vision, he was a doctor. He thrived during the war. His business boomed due to it. Still, he hated the war. He hated seeing people dying or being injured. He was a patriotic person. Yet, he saved a soldier of the Emmy Kingdom and fell in love with her. His emotions made him do everything what he was not supposed to do. Emotions are chains. Once they bind you, they won't let you go. They'll pull you down and make you do their bidding. And all we can do is follow them. So if emotions are a bad influence? Paimon asked. No. Neo never regretted falling in love. They're a good influence. Is that so? Your earlier words say otherwise. Paimon chuckled. Yes, and I still stand by my words. Neo smiled. Emotions are evil. In the third vision, he became Dios Kingsley. He murdered his zombified family with a smile on his face. He killed anyone who harmed his sister, no matter if they were wrong or right. Dios was the evil created by the emotions. Still, Neo would not call him wrong. Neo would have done the same. They're a necessary evil. That's what emotions are. He gave his answer and waited for her judgment. It was a beautiful answer. Paimon placed a flag post on the table between them. Congratulations. You've passed the third trial, child. Not just passed. Your answer was one of the most unique I've ever heard. She placed another flag post on the table. I'll give you a bonus reward. Originally, I was just meant to give you this. But I'll give you a hint for your fourth trail. Neo picked the flag posts. He inserted the flag in the first flag post. It was inserted and the flag post glowed, signifying the completion of the process. He tried to put the flag in the other flag post and realized something was wrong. The flag won't turn. The fourth trial is to surpass yourself. Unless you do that, you can't use the fourth flag post. Neo nodded. He stored the flag and flag posts. While he was drinking the tea Paimon prepared for him, he asked, what was the purpose of the third trail? I know understanding my emotions helped me remain calm and resist the voices of darkness. But was that all? Instead of answering him, Paimon posed another question. What is your current mastery of darkness? Adept. How close are you reaching to expert mastery? Neo became silt. He answered a few seconds later. I don't know. Unlike before, where I could SSE how to increase my mastery, I can't feel anything similar. That's the point of your third trial. It will become the foundation of your mastery over darkness. To go from adept to expert, you need to conceptualize your element. The trials are meant to prepare you for the future. Neo's face hard. Only a handful of demigods could apply concepts to their elements. Conceptualization was the dividing line between those who would use their talt to reach the apex and those who were talted but failed to achieve anything. He had to attain conceptualization if he wanted to become the strongest. Your current trial will help you gain the concept of emotions. With it, you'll be able to gain Im's power sacrifice your emotions. Sacrifice. It was not a word Neo liked. It might seem like a bad trait to you, but it is not. The concept of emotions is the strongest among all concepts to use with darkness. Suddenly, Neo recalled something. The Sphinx had asked him if he truly believed the darkness demanded sacrifices. Its words bugged Neo back. It was as if the Sphinx wanted to say they were misunderstanding darkness. Paimon, is true the darkness demands sacrifices? Do all concepts of it need us to give up on something? Yes, I've never southeast a concept of darkness that does not demand sacrifices. Strange. Was the Sphinx just messing with me? No, that can't be true. The Sphinx cannot lie. It means there is another concept no one has discovered. Neo became excited. He wanted to know what the unknown concept was. I'll be taking my leave. Are you going to start searching for the fourth trial? Not right now. The third trial took a lot out of him. He wanted a short break and focus on the other tasks he had been ignoring until now. Besides, what the fuck did surpassing himself mean? He reached grade 3 awakened a few hours ago, and he still couldn't use the flag post, so it was not counted as surpassing himself. Are you going to return to the world of living? No, I'll grind some stats until the skill forcefully revives me. Neo left the mansion. He entered the forest. The place was empty. He did not find any monsters. It was the same last time. Is this place supposed to be always empty? Neo doubted it. Forest of all beginnings was where the souls appeared after their death in the world of living. It should have been filled with monsters, grim reapers, and souls. Suddenly, he sensed a monstrous presence. His heart froze with dread. The presence was like a giant demon covering the sky. It's neither a soul or a monster. What is it? The presence was dangerous. However, it did not feel alive. Neo moved towards the presence. Closing onto it, he climbed the trees and hid in them to scout the surroundings. What the fuck? Neo doubted the scene before his eyes. The forest was crushed as if a giant being stepped on it. A massive depression formed in the center of the destroyed region. Hundreds of monsters surrounded the place. The monsters were gathered here. They were trying to enter the destroyed forest. The thick aura of death radiating from it killed them as soon as they stepped close. These monsters all are different species. Why aren't they fighting amongst themselves? It was different from the usual behavior of the monsters. Is there something inside that place? Neo stretched his senses. Doing so made him visible to the monsters. They ignored him and kept trying to enter the destroyed forest. Neo stiffened. After reaching adept mastery in death, he gained death elemental vision and his senses of death increased. He could smell the intoxicating scent of death in the air. There was a treasure in the center of the destroyed forest. The monsters wanted it. There was just one problem. That's my blood. There is no way I'll mistake the sin of my own god blood. Neo's blood, which was at the center of the flattened forest, was the source of rich aroma of death. Everything makes sense now. This was why the forest was empty. Neo recalled the first day he ventured into the forest. He washed his blood in a river and ended up attracting a giant monster on par with exalted demigods. There is no way that monster would have left my blood here. It probably ended up fighting something else that wanted my blood and lost some of it here. Goosebumps rose over his skin. The forest was flattened as far as he could see. The presence of death lingering in the area was enough to kill an awakened demigod as soon as they went close to it. If the collateral damage caused the entire landscape to change, Neo shuddered to think how the actual battle would have been. I better think twice before bleeding when I'm underworld. Neo's curiosity was satisfied. He understood why the forest was empty. The monsters were trying to devour his blood that was dropped by the giant monster. The Grim Reapers were busy handling the aftermath at other places, probably. This is a good news. I can get back some of my god blood. The god blood he lost to the giant monster never returned to him. He never cared about it before since he did not lose much. But now, after the contract with Paimon, he was lacking in god blood. Neo needed as much of it as possible. He jumped down from the tree. A few monsters turned to look at him. They stared at Neo for a few seconds before returning their focus to the destroyed forest. Neo walked to the edge of the region. He could feel the thick presence of death prickling his skin. The presence increased as he continued to go inwards. He tried to resist the death. The number of monsters decreased the closer he walked to the center. His skin began to crack. His eyes turned bloodshot. The death was overwhelming. Neo continued forward. His mastery of death was not enough to resist the death lingering in the surroundings. Blood trickled out of his wounds. Neo used darkness to consume the blood he was losing before anyone sensed it. His bones creaked. He felt thousands of needles stabbing into his skin. Neo's eyes remained firm. He could feel himself reaching the limit when he reached halfway towards the center. He used Ocean's embrace and aura of darkness to increase his defenses. His divine energy pool was disappearing at a frightening pace. The strain made him feel his innards were being twisted. Neo was breathing heavily when he reached the center. A tiny drop of golden blood was floating in the air. For monsters sat around it, absorbing the aura of death from the droplet of blood. That blood is too strong. Did my god blood mix with the giant's blood? It's the only reason I can think of for the increase in the purity of the blood. Neo placed his hand over Obitus when a monster's turned towards him. The first one looked like a spider. Its entire body is shrouded in a shifting, shadowy mist, making it difficult to see its true form. The second monster was quadrupedal beast with crystalline body. The third monster was a humanoid creature as thick as his wrists. It had dark ebony skin, jagged horns, and long claws. Their presence was powerful. They were as strong as Neo. It's clear they are working together. I doubt they want to share the blood with a fourth person, so they'll attack me together. The corner of Neo's lips rose. He could finally fight after Ian's. His blood boiled with excitement, and his hands itched. The crystalline monster opened its mouth. There is no need for you to fight us. I don't know which region you belong to, but you must be strong if you can resist the death at this place. The three of us have no intention to fight unnecessary battles. Instead of risking our lives in a fight, we have decided to share this treasure. You can do the same with us, or you can fight three of us alone. Neo was surprised the monster could speak. He had not expected to meet a monster with intelligence so soon. Fine. Neo clicked his tongue. He retracted his aura and sat next to the monsters. Although Neo would have welcomed a battle, a peaceful negotiation was better. Neo closed his eyes. Flames of darkness materialized around him. They absorbed the essence of death flowing out of the blood droplet. The power of exalted demigod monster was mixed in the blood. Neo felt as if he was being stared down by the exalted demigod monster when he tried to absorb the blood. It was suffocating. The blood was his. It should have been easy for him to absorb it. Neo's body started to break. He could not handle the residual concept of death, belonging to the exalted, lingering in blood droplet. Neo bit his lips. Don't joke with me. That blood is mine. Who the hell do you think you are acting like its owner? The concept of death imbued in the blood flared. It flowed into his body and destroyed it from within. Yeah, let's see if you can kill me first, or if I'll absorb you. Lysander, the crystalline quadruple beast, sensed the presence of death surging in the vicinity. He opened his eyes and saw Neo trying to absorb a massive amount of blood at once. He snorted. Is he a fool? Lysander, Selene, and Alaric had been absorbing the blood for days. They did it at a slow pace. All three of them were geniuses, yet they did not take the risk. The power of blood could kill them easily if they tried to absorb it too quickly. As expected, it was a good choice to let him absorb the blood. He'll just kill himself, and we wouldn't need to share the treasure after he dies. Unlike them, Neo had been struggling to resist the presence of the death in the area. He was bound to die if he continued to stay here. Fool. These humans always overestimate themselves, and... Lysander flinched. Neo suddenly unleashed all of his flames of darkness and began to absorb the blood droplet greedily. What are you doing? The absurd sight before Lysander's eyes made him dumbstruck. Neo was dying from the overwhelming power. He was using his high mastery of death to stop it from claiming him, but it was only a matter of time that he fell to its call. It made no sense to Lysander. He did not understand why the human before its eyes was rushing headfirst to his death. The vortex of flames surrounded Neo. Selena, the spider monster, and Alaric, the humanoid beast, were forced to open their eyes. Their faces hardened. The three looked at each other. "Are you going to let him do this?" Alaric questioned. "We can't. Even if we absorb the blood from his corpse, the purity would fall. We need to stop him," Lysander grunted. They were not worried about Neo listening to them, since Neo's focus was on absorbing the blood droplet. They turned to Selena, only to find her increasing the pace of her absorption. "Selena, what are you?" "I doubt he reached adept mastery by coincidence. Since he is absorbing the blood droplet like this, he must have a plan." Lysander and Alaric frowned. That was worse. They could not lose a precious treasure like the blood droplet to the boy. Just as they were about to make a move, a heavy aura descended. Unknown to them, Neo had unsealed his blessing to increase the absorption rate. It took him only a few seconds to absorb the blood droplet. He felt a surge of power, and his divine energy pool's capacity increased by a large margin. At the same time, his body began to crumble away. Neo was about to die in the underworld. He used Immortal. The skill healed him at the cost of his divine energy. His blood burned, but unlike the contract with Paimon, he knew he would recover this energy over time, so he used it without hesitation. Neo opened his eyes and exhaled. The presence of death lingering in the surroundings started to disperse after the droplet of blood disappeared. Lysander, Alaric, and Selene were stunned. They could not believe their eyes. "How are you alive?" Lysander trembled. They flinched when Neo looked at them. He opened his mouth. "You three tell me. This can't be the only place where the exalted demigod monster dropped the blood. Where else can I find the other droplets?" Neo had 3 uses of Immortal. He was saving the 4th one to return to the world of living and a few hours to spare in the underworld. Even if he did not find the droplets today, he could get them later. The blood droplets gave his divine energy pool too big of boost for him to ignore them. Exalted demigod. Alaric muttered. "How did you know it was an exalted demigod?" "I saw it obviously." They stiffened, unable to believe Neo was alive after an encounter with an exalted demigod. Neo had been lucky back then. His body was an insulator that did not let anyone sense the blood of monarch within him. It was same for every demigod. Otherwise, Neo would have been hunted for his blood already. Lysander and Alaric grew nervous. It was clear Neo was not normal. "We don't know." Neo stared at them for a few seconds. He opened his mouth. "Fine." Just before he left, Selena called out to him. "Wait, I know where you can find another droplet." "Selena, what are you trying to do? He is dangerous. We shouldn't get involved." "Shut up," Neo warned Lysander. "Don't interrupt again." Lysander frowned, but closed his mouth. Neo turned to Selena. "Go on. I'm listening. I can tell you where the next droplet is, but I want something in return. If you want me to share the blood, then I'm afraid we can't have a deal." "No, I don't need the blood," the spider monster continued. "The others' places are more dangerous than here. I wouldn't have been able to enter those places even if you helped me. Instead, I want you to help me catch someone." Neo thought about it. It seemed like a good proposal. "Fine." Lysander and Alaric kept quiet. Selena approached Neo and opened her mouth. "What is your rank?" "Awakened demigod." "No, not that one. What is your Reaper rank?" "Wait, are you even registered, or are you a rogue monster?" Neo never heard those terms in his life. The spider monster continued. "Your aura of death is attuned to underworld. That's only possible if you are a monster like us. Then how the hell do you not know about Reaper ranks?" Seeing Neo's confused expression, Selene muttered, "Did you lose your memories after you were corrupted by the darkness?" She explained to him in simple terms. Dead souls come to the underworld. They are either taken by the Reapers to the paradise, or they remain in the forest of all beginning. Those who remain here are corrupted by darkness and become monsters. Like you and me. Selene raised one of her leg and placed it on his shoulder. "There's a lot to explain, but first thing first. Let's go to a town. We need to get you registered before you can help me with the hunt." Neo nodded. He felt a string of energy trying to flow into his body through Celine's leg. He let it enter. Their bodies turned into ink and fell into the shadows. Selena carried Neo through the shadow movement. They had to stop a few times on the way to let Celine recover her divine energy. Few hours later, they reached the entrance of town. Celine canceled the shadow movement spell. Their bodies returned to their usual form. The place was filled with monsters. An umbrella with an eye, a giant tortoise that walked on two legs, humans with animal-like ears and tails. Other than the monsters, it seemed like a normal medieval human town. They had stores, buildings, and the place was filled with the vibrancy of life. Wow, it's nice, isn't it? Celine smiled. Welcome to Tartale, the first city of reapers. Now, follow me. Neo looked around the place with marvel. He never expected to see a city in the underworld. The two entered the giant ancient building at the city border. Celine pointed at the wall on the left. That is where you can see usual missions. They could be anything, from collecting herbs for the nanny next doors to hunting the ancient dragon that recently woke up. By the way, the ancient dragon Veldora attacked Nemerax, the wandering giant, a few months ago. The droplets of blood fell during their battle. Nemerax? Neo questioned. Yes, it used to just roam around. That's why it's called the Wandering Giant. Although it's a corrupted monster, it never attacked anyone. It suddenly went berserk a few months ago, and Veldora also woke up at the same time. We don't know what the cause was. However, most of us think the incidents are related. Neo nodded, as if it was not his fault. I'm pretty sure both of them were after my blood. Celine pointed to the right wall. There you can find hunt targets. Hunt targets? Yes, they're the souls that come to the underworld. The Reapers can't gather the hundreds of thousands of souls that fall into the underworld every day. We do the task for them. We bring the souls, the hunt targets, to the Reapers and receive rewards in return. Still, calling them hunt target is quite unique. The name is perfect. Celine and Neo entered a line at the reception. While they waited for their turn, Celine continued to explain him about the place. No soul wants to go with the Reapers willingly. We have to hunt them down, quite literally. What about the souls you can't catch? They are the unlucky ones who'll become corrupted by darkness and become a monster. The two reached the receptionist. A flying skull without a body stood behind the counter. It held a pen and paper with telekinesis. I want to get him registered. Name, time of death, place of death. He doesn't remember when he died. He forgot everything when he became a monster. Neo did not correct them. The truth was too bothersome to explain. Besides, the word of him being Hades' bloodline could endanger him. Neo could ask for help from Barbados and Paimon, sure, but there was no guarantee they would help him. It was quite clear to him they were investing in him by helping him train, but they never tried to protect him during his trials. Even if Barbados and Paimon could help him, he did not want their help unless absolutely necessary. Neo wanted to progress with his own strength. Unnecessary help would only impede his growth. The flying skull looked at Neo. Boy, do you remember your name? Neo Hargraves. Fine. Now, put your hand over this. It picked a black crystal ball and put on the reception table. What's this? It's a contamination measurement device. The flying skull explained. 10% is for souls. They haven't been affected much by the environment of the underworld. 10+% contamination means you have become a monster. 50+% is when you lose your sanity and become a corrupted monster. When you reach that level, a bounty will be put on your head. The skull laughed when it noticed Neo's expression. Boy, don't worry. We give pills as reward for the quests and hunts. They will help suppress the spreading contamination. Of course, it's only a stopgap method. If you want to stop the contamination forever, you must become a Reaper. That's why everyone here works hard. They have no choice but to work if they don't want to become corrupted. Neo nodded. After receiving the explanation, he put his hand over the crystal ball. Nothing happened. There was no change to the crystal ball. What is? Neo stopped speaking He noticed the flying skull and sealed dumbstruck. Boy, what are you? The crystal is not reacting. It means you are 0% contaminated. Maybe it's malfunctioning? Seal chimed in. It's clear he has maintained his sanity. There is no way his contamination can be higher than 50%. True. The flying skull stared at Neo. Boy, next time you're in the town, come find me. I'll have a new measurement device prepared by TH. He created a badge out of thin air and threw it towards Neo. Neo took a good look at the badge. Neo Hargraves. Contamination? Soul Hunter rank. Soul Initiate. Soul points. 0, 0. Soul Initiate. It is the newbie rank. You go from Soul Initiate, Soul Keeper, Soul Ward, and finally Soul Reaper. After that, you get a shot at becoming a Grim Reaper and tearing the paradise, the Flying Skull explained. I take it as we receive soul points among the mission reward. Yes, and it's the basic currency here. I've explained everything. Now off you go. Wait, Scalix, we aren't done here. Seal continued. The spider's voice was a strange mix of hissing and intelligible words. He is going to accept a mission with me. Lady, you mean that mission? You want to take a newbie with you? Scalix, you know. Oh, I know you, lady. Your last team was one of the best team in Tartale, and they were wiped out in the blink of the eye. You don't defeat the Mad Hound. Stop trying to get this young boy killed for your revenge. Seal hissed. Her aura flared dangerously. Scalix, just do your own job. Don't meddle in my life. Har har, I'm doing my job. The Flying Skull looked at Neo. What will you do, boy? Madhound isn't someone you can handle, and he recruited a few Zeus clan souls rectly. He has never been stronger. How much do I need to pay to know the location of the blood droplets that fell during Veldora and Neramax's battle? Neo asked. Scalix understood the int behind Neo's question. The Flying Skull sighed. Seal is going to reveal the location of one of the droplets. Huh? You'll become a soul ward in one go if you sell that information. His words confirmed Neo's intian. Neo would help Seal and get the information in exchange. Fine. Give me your Soul Hunter badges. I'll issue the mission to you too. Seal took out her badge from the shadow space. She passed it to Scalix. Neo did the same. The Flying Skull added the mission details to the badges before returning it to them. You can read the mission details on the badge, boy. Now go away. You two have blocked the line long oof. Neo and Seal stood to the side. Neo, I'm sorry about hiding about the Madhound. I'll return a few days later to help you with the mission. Are you going to run away? Seal let out a melancholic chuckle. It's fine. You don't need to give excuses. I'm at the fault to begin with. I shouldn't have hid the request from you. Seal, shut up. Neo clicked his tongue. I wouldn't have accepted the mission if I was going to run away. Whatever you think, I'm not going to let a failed mission stay on my record. Neo had to leave. His time limit was nearly up. He had another task to do before returning to the world of living. I'll meet you here again in a few days. Bye. Neo wandered to the left wall. It was clear Seal did not believe his words. However, he was sure she would wait for him, because she was desperate. The left side of the hall was filled with hunt targets. Neo, WT, threw thousands of names and photos placed on the wall. Found them. He stared the names of Drick, GW, Clara, and Leonora. They were still in the forest of all beginnings. Christian isn't here. He must have been SD to paradise already. Neo knew. He'd be gone for 3 months. The corpses must have rotted already. There was a high chance Nathan could have buried them or cremated them, not knowing what Neo planned to do with corpses. The fourth vision completely messed up my plans. Neo exhaled. Fuck, I have to whack my time a lamp. He used Immortal and returned to the world of living. Opening his eyes, his focus first WT to the hard object in his hands. He lowered his gaze. The Soul Hunter badge came with me? Neo was a bit surprised. It seemed the badge was not as simple as he thought it to be. He pocketed the Soul Hunter badge and checked time. It was early dawn. I'll take a shower and at the classes. I also need to meet Nathan and ask him about the... Neo opened the door to the hall. The SCE before his eyes made him shut up. Mars, shirtless, was doing push-ups while Felix, female form, sat on his back. Jack was playing Enma Shrine 3 on his console. Arthur was juggling daggers to pass time. Amelia and Nathan were cooking food in the kitchen. Neo rubbed his eyes. The SCE before him did not change. Strange. My mastery of darkness should be oof for my Kurt level. Why am I still seeing hallucinations? Guess I'll just cut them down. It will do for a morning warm-up. Neo. Arthur noticed Neo stretching his arms. You are awake? Neo, why didn't you tell us you returned from your mission? We wouldn't have known if the principal did not tell us. Jack shouted excitedly. He closed the game. Mars stopped doing push-ups, and Amelia and Nathan peeked from up kitch. They all looked happy until they noticed Neo's surging aura. Neo? W, what are you doing? Arthur felt a chill crawl up his spine. Neo covered the distance between them in a single step. His punch, covered in red lightning, shot towards Arthur's face. Arthur dodged by a hair's breadth. He looked toward Amelia while rolling away in panic. Senior, you said it would have been fine if we entered his room. It doesn't look fine to me. He is seriously trying to kill me. Before anyone could react, a heavy aura of death and darkness descended. They felt suffocated. Even Amelia froze. Condensed red arcs of lightning gathered around Neo. He is going to destroy this place. Arthur closed his eyes as if he had given up. Neo was about to unleash the storm of death when suddenly Jack grabbed his hand. Stop this, Neo. We aren't hallucinations. Jack's aura clashed against Neo's aura. Neo was slightly surprised when Jack managed to hold him back. Even if I'm not using my full strength, how can he do this? He must have trained a lot while I was away. Neo retracted his aura. My bad. I thought it was another hallucination created by the darkness. Huh. Jack let go of his hand and flopped to the ground. I felt like I was going to be killed. How the hell did your aura grow so strong in just 3 months? Where the hell were you doing? I was receiving my answer from the vision. Yeah. Please keep using that discounted excuse. Even Nathan can make up better lies. Why am I being insulted when I didn't say a word? Nathan closed his mouth when everyone turned to him. Never mind. Please ignore me. Neo sat up on the sofa. What are you guys doing here? We want to know about your mission. How was it? Did you really go outside the academy? I've said already. I was with the Sphinx. So you really won't tell us. Jack clicked his tongue. He sat near Felix, who was on top of Mars. What can we do? We are too low rank for him to think about us. I bet he made more friends when he was outside, and he is just using us as his side friends. Felix let out fake tears. Neo ignored the 2 drama queens. He snorted. You guys entered my room without my permission. Ever heard about the magical word privacy? Of course we have. Felix spoke first. Jack followed after him. That's why he did not enter your bedroom. We only used your console, kitchen, hall, training room. Jack stopped speaking. He looked away. You can say sorry. Sorry. Nathan brought breakfast from the kitchen. He flinched when Neo looked at him, when in truth Neo was looking past him. Amelia, come out. I already saw you in the kitchen. She dragged her feet out of the kitchen. Neo clicked his tongue. Although he wanted to say something, he didn't plan to embarrass her in front of everyone. I know I gave you the keys, but at least warn me if you're going to bring a party with you. Oh, you did not. I did, Amelia. How else you would have keys to my room? Ha ha. It's not like the academy staff will them to you. Felix and Jack's stares stung at his back. Neo continued his act shamelessly. Anyway, tell if you guys are going to come. I would have prepared something for you all, like changing the lock. The group sat around the table. They kept asking Neo about his mission even after he said he was with the Sphinx. Irritated, he almost flipped the table and shot a death snipe at them. The tasty food was the only reason he forgave everyone. Nathan, you cooked the food, right? Why, yes. Senior Amelia helped too. She has a key to my room already. Neo continued. Your room wouldn't have a kitchen. You can use mine when you don't want to eat the cafeteria's food. I'll give you a key to my room. What about me? Me too. Neo ignored Jack and Felix and stared at Mars. I'll give you a key too. My training room should have better than yours. You can use it. Thanks. If you are thankful, don't go around my place naked, dripping sweat on mats. Haha, sorry about that. Arthur was staring at Neo like a child waiting for his Santa Claus. What? Do I get key too? Fuck off. Why? You gave one to Mars. Neo looked at him with disgust. Are you my teammate? No. Can you cook food for me? I can. Can you cook tasty food like Nathan? I can try. Are you a beautiful girl? 3 questions, 3 times useless. You're rejected. I have no reason to invite you to my room. Arthur gave an awkward smile. Hey, You weren't this sharp-tongued before. Well, I'm not the one who entered someone's room without their permission. Arthur looked as if he had been wronged. He was the only person to get attacked, and he was the only one to be insulted. Neo sighed. Fine, I'll give you a key. Stop making that face. It's disgusting. Before Jack and Felix could speak up, Neo added, I'll give you two, too. Of course, I'll change the lock after I distribute the keys. I'll give the real keys to only Mars and Nathan. After the rowdy breakfast, they prepared to go to the classes. Nathan, I want to talk to you. Come to the side. Nathan nodded. He was about to step towards Neo when suddenly Jack placed a hand on his shoulder. Jack whispered something to Nathan. Nathan nodded and left with everyone. What did you say to him? I told him you were probably asking for the corpses. Since I have them, he can go. You took them? Yeah, I had to. Nathan became a nervous wreck while carrying those things. So I decided to take them from him. Jack's shadow stretched. The corpses of Christian, Leonora, Clara, Kendrick, and Gwen floated at its surface. Neo's expression worsened. He could stomach the pungent smell and the gory scene before his eyes. However, they are rotting. Neo had expected this. He felt like shit when he witnessed his failures with his eyes. Fuck. While Neo was thinking hard, Jack opened his mouth. You want to resurrect them, don't you? Despite being startled, Neo maintained a neutral expression. Is that even possible? I think it could be possible with your bloodline. Neo did not say anything. Sigh, Neo, death isn't a punishment. I'm sad too that my friends died, but trying to resurrect them isn't the answer. You need to accept death. How long will you continue this? Everyone you know will die someday. Will you keep reviving them? Neo, if you don't learn to accept death, your mastery will. Jack sighed. If I tell you about it, it will lose its meaning. You need to understand it yourself. He patted Neo's back. I'll keep the corpses with myself until as long as you want. Still, please think about what I told you. Jack stepped out of the room, leaving Neo behind. Neo thought about Jack's words. He shook his head after a few moments. I'm getting late for the classes. Neo left the Seraphim Hall. He met Arthur, Felix, and Mars on the way. The others? They went to their class. Neo noticed quite a few people were staring at him. It reminded him of the day when he was going to give this speech as the ruler. Back then, the gazes had been filled with mockery. Now, they were staring at him with awe and admiration. The four reached the class. The teacher entered a few minutes later. She picked the chalk and wrote Elemental Clash, aka Elemental Overriding, on the board. Good morning, students. Since a few of you are seeing me for the first time, I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Evelyn Valterra, your Elemental Theory class professor. Her gaze was fixed on Neo. Today, we're going to cover the topic Elemental Clash. Anyone know what it is? Arthur raised his hand. Yes, please answer, Arthur. Elemental Clash refers to the clash between two elements. Very good, Arthur. As expected of a rank 2 student. It was the perfect answer. Professor Evelyn continued. But how does elemental clashes work? What will happen if water and fire strikes against each other? Will water douse the fire, or will the fire evaporate the water? An orb of water materialized above Professor Evelyn's right palm and an orb of flames above her left palm. What factors will affect the result? The total amount of divine energy imbued in the attack. A student answered. Yes, good answer. Anything else? She looked around. Thanks, students. This is something you all must have experienced during your past 3 months practical classes at the Academy. Elemental superiority. Correct. You can't expect a lightning element user to win against a time element user. The time element user will snap his finger, and that's it. Time has been stopped. Lightning user can't do anything. Evelyn continued. You need to be careful about the compatibility between your opponent and you, and use a superior element. Of course, that's not always the case. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Arthur, again, raised his hand. Yes, Arthur. Elemental mastery. We can overpower our opponent's element as long as our mastery is high enough. This can cancel even elemental superiority. Perfect. Professor Evelyn smiled. There are countless examples of what Arthur said in the history. The battle of God King Zeus, the war god Ares, against the father of time, Kronos, is one such example. They overpowered the father of time with their high elemental masteries. The god king Zeus used his lightning affinity to outspeed time, and war god Ares burned time itself. Professor Evelyn could see not everyone believed her. It was to be expected. The age of gods happened long in the past, and her words sounded too absurd to be true. The students believed the myths of the past were often exaggerated. Content source from Vlemper. I'll give you a live example. Professor Evelyn conjured a flame in front of her. This is apprentice mastery level fire. She raised her head and looked Neo in the eye. Neo Hargraves, please attack this flame with your death affinity. He nodded. Die. He spoke to help make it easier for him to conjure the image of the attack and increase its accuracy. A single condensed red bolt struck the flame. The flame suddenly died. Marvelous. That was a perfect demonstration of elemental overriding. She looked around the class. Neo Hargrave's mastery of death has reached adept level. He was able to impose the concept of death over my flames and kill them. This happened because adept mastery represents a higher form of understanding than apprentice mastery. She continued, now who is going to tell me the weakness of elemental overriding? Arthur raised his hand to no one's surprise. Yes, please answer, Arthur. Mainly, the two weaknesses of elemental overriding are divine energy pool and elemental superiority. Even a high mastery is useless if an awakened demigod is fighting a mythic demigod. The mythic demigod can just overpower the opponent with his denser and larger divine energy pool. Arthur added, elemental superiority is similar. Just because they have a higher mastery does not mean an earth element user can defeat a lightning element user in a race. Elemental overriding is useless here. Correct again. The class continued. Professor Evelyn let them go after an hour. I feel like I'm dying, Felix groaned. Her head slumped onto the desk. Someone kill me. I can't study anymore. Why are you complaining, Felix? It was an interesting class. It wasn't, you nerd. Felix glared at Arthur. I've told you multiple times. If you're going to keep raising your hand, go sit somewhere else. Why? You draw attention to yourself. 1 out of 7 professors asks a question from me since I'm sitting next to you. I'm not smart like you. I beg you, spare me, you lunatic. She was on the verge of tears. Neo stood up. Where are you going? Arthur questioned. I have something to do. I'll return before our next class starts. The next class was after 2 hours. Neo had plenty of time to meet Professor Daniel. He moved through the academy grounds. The meditation hall was only half-hour distance away. It was as deserted as ever. Neo stood outside Professor Daniel's office and knocked. Professor Daniel, it is Neo Hargraves. I came to meet you 3 months ago and asked for help in awakening my time element. There was no response. Neo knocked again. Silence. Is he out? He waited for another hour. There was no indication Professor Daniel was inside the office. There is only half an hour left. I need to return to my class. Neo massaged his brows. He was on his way to the class venue when a girl with bright orange hair blocked his path. Do you want something from me? I do, actually. Can you give me an autograph? Neo took the pen and signed the blank paper. Thank you. I never thought I would get the ruler to sign my diary. No, the pleasure is mine. I'm the one who is surprised to be approached by the treasurer. The girl froze. You know me? Yes. Why wouldn't I know you? She scratched her cheek with an awkward smile. I'm almost always busy with student council works. Barely anyone recognizes me, since I never leave the student council office. So, I was just surprised you knew me. Amelia told me about you. Neo lied through his teeth. I see. Still, I'll introduce myself formally. I'm Ophelia Nereth, the treasurer of the student council and a second-year student. Neo Hargraves, the ruler and a first year. They shook hands. Did you come to find me just for an autograph? All right. I almost forgot. Percival wants to meet you. Right now. Right now. My classes. I know you have your classes, but we need you for an important task. That is. Ophelia looked around to make sure no one was eavesdropping. She whispered, the student council has decided to open the application form for you. Neo's face hardened. He couldn't believe his ears. The application form to join the student council? But that only starts from the second semester. You are right, to be honest. Ophelia and Neo started to walk towards the student council. Neo could skip his classes from it. He would get countless benefits from joining the student council. The best benefit was receiving double credits from admission rewards. Additionally, he could skip exams and still receive a passing grade. This is the best. The midterms are coming, and I haven't studied anything since I was in the visions. If I can join the student council, there is no need for me to attend the tests. While they were on the way, Ophelia continued to speak. Your case is unique. Your performance during the S-rank mission has set a historical record. There's a rumor about the principal personally sending you on a mission outside the academy. And your past is a mystery. She continued, little brother of Henry Hargraves, no known demigod parents in the recorded lineage, and one of the only 2 survivors of the void window number 8477. The fact you suddenly became a ruler is even more surprising. No one knows about your bloodline either. Are you curious? Yes, I am. Everyone is. It's monarch of death, the bloodline of great god of death, Hades. That's impossible. Ophelia laughed. Nice joke. It's fine if you don't want to expose your bloodline. The academy policies allow the students to keep their bloodlines a secret. The only rule is that if you expose your bloodline, it should be the truth. So don't go making jokes like this. You'll get in trouble. Neo shrugged. He told the truth. It was not his problem that she did not believe him. Ophelia continued. Anyway, the outside forces are pressuring us, the student council, to verify your abilities. They want to know if the principal is spreading exaggerated rumors, or if you really are as strong as they say. In short, you're doing this because the orders of your families? Neo asked. I'm sure that's abusing your rights as the student council members. Not really abusing. The application test will help us know your limits, and you'll get to join the student council. Both sides will benefit. Fair enough. They reached a coliseum. The gates opened. As they entered the place, Ophelia pointed him toward a different path. I'll go to the spectator seats. You should go down that corridor to enter the battle arena. Are we starting the test straight away? Yes, time is money. Neo nodded. He followed her directions and walked into a large stadium. Looking around, he noticed some of the seats were filled. Almost all student council members were present along with a few professors. Percival stood at the head of the Colosseum, high above. He imbued his voice with divine energy. The volume of his voice increased. Neo Hargraves, after careful consideration and a unanimous vote amongst the student council, we have decided to allow you to take a special application test. The contents of the application test are same as previous year's test. However, since this is a special test, the difficulty would be increased. Of course, we will give you an additional reward of 500 credits. Do you want to partake in the test? Or do you want to give up? The student council test took place in the 2nd semester. By that time, the students were properly trained by the academy. Still, only a few students could pass the test. Neo was taking the test 3 months earlier and at a harder version. He grew excited. Finally, I can fight. Your chapter source MV Lumpierre. He opened his mouth. I'm ready to take the test. Good. Percival smiled. The great me has the record for the earliest clear. I hope you can achieve something close to it, since everyone has high expectations from you. Percival brought his hand down. Begin. The gates groaned and burst open. The ground shook as the first wave of golems came out. There were 6 of them. Each one was a hulking figure of stone and earth. Although slow, their sheer size and strength made them dangerous. Neo triggered the Essence Breath spell. He could feel the weight of the debuff still pressing down on him. It slowed his movements, dulled his senses, but he knew he had to conserve his strength. There were 4 more waves waiting behind this one, and each would be worse. The first golem made its move. It took a slow step forward and swung its massive fist toward him. Neo's eyes narrowed. He sidestepped quickly, avoiding the blow with minimal effort, but he could feel how sluggish his body was. And the air was suddenly torn apart. The golem, while slow, was powerful. Its simple movements could create shockwaves. The next golem followed. It lunged at him with surprising coordination for such slow creatures. Neo's hand moved to his sword hilt instinctively. With a quick push of his thumb, the blade slid a fraction from its sheath, and the debuff lifted. Neo's body surged with renewed energy. The fog that had clouded his reflexes dissipated, and his movements became crisp and fluid. Neo darted forward. He closed the distance between him and the golems in a blink. His sword flashed, wrapped in red lightning. It cut cleanly through the first golem's leg, causing it to collapse into a pile of mud and stone. The other golems responded in unison, but Neo was faster. He moved like a shadow and weaved through their attacks. One golem slammed its fist into the ground where Neo had just stood, creating a crater in the arena floor. Neo leapt into the air. He landed on the golem's back and drove his blade through its core. The creature groaned before crumbling to pieces. The first wave was reduced to nothing more than piles of dirt scattered across the arena floor within a few seconds. But Neo had no time to rest. The second wave was already emerging from the gate. These golems were larger and more menacing than the first. They were reinforced with stone armor, their bodies were bulkier, and their movements were faster. 8 of them, Neo counted. Seems like these ones have better coordination. Neo's hand tightened around the hilt of his sword. He could feel the challenge growing. The golems surrounded him quickly. They attacked him from all sides with powerful. Their attacks were synchronized, leaving no room for him to dodge. Neo's body turned into a blur as he tried to evade the heavy blows while blocking the undodgeable ones with Ocean's Embrace. He did not just dodge. He parried, skillfully weaving counterattacks in his blocks. But their defenses were stronger. His blade, though sharp, struggled to pierce the stone armor that covered their bodies. Each attack that landed was absorbed by the golem's thick, hardened shells. Neo couldn't land a decisive blow. I can't use an aura blade so early. My divine energy reserves are too lacking for it. Sweat trickled down his brow as he calculated his next move. The golem's attacks were becoming more precise. They were adapting. Neo lunged toward the closest golem with a burst of speed. His blade sliced through its arm, but the golem retaliated with surprising agility. It swung its other fist toward him. Neo twisted in midair, narrowly avoiding the blow. The golems didn't relent. They pressed the attack with their impeccable coordination. Neo used his superior agility to continue moving and dodge their attacks. He cleaved through the head of one golem with a well-timed strike, then spun around to deliver a fatal blow to another. Within minutes, the second wave had fallen, but Neo could feel his muscles burning from the effort. The gates trembled again. Novel bin exclusive. The third wave emerged, 10 golems this time. Their bodies were darker and more menacing. These golems weren't just stronger, they were faster, and their coordination had reached a new level. They moved as one, surrounding Neo in a perfect formation, leaving him no room to move around. Neo's chest heaved. He was desperate. His blood boiled with excitement. With a deep breath, Neo activated his blessing. A surge of power coursed through his veins. His muscles felt lighter and his reflexes became sharper. The air around him crackled with energy. The third wave attacked with terrifying speed, but Neo was faster. His body moved like a shadow, and he countered their blows with devastating precision. His sword flashed, cutting through stone and mud alike. He struck at their weak points, dismantling their formation piece by piece. One golem fell, then another, and another. The creatures couldn't keep up with Neo's newfound speed and power. In a flurry of strikes, the third wave crumbled before him. Before he could celebrate his victory, the fourth wave was already upon him. These golems were unlike any of the others. Their bodies were massive, their forms reinforced with dark obsidian that gleamed in the sunlight. There were 12 of them now, each one more dangerous than the last. Neo's breath came in ragged gasps. He could feel the strain on his body. His divine energy wouldn't last long. He had to finish quickly. The golems charged, and Neo met them head-on. Giant bolts of red lighting thundered around him. His blade clashed against their obsidian armor. A powerful shockwave spread out. The creatures attacked relentlessly. Neo parried and dodged, but even with the blessing, he was struggling to keep up. He was nearing his limit. The essence breath spell couldn't support him for long. One golem's fist grazed his side, sending him skidding across the arena floor. Neo gritted his teeth. He ignored the pain and forced himself back to his feet. He couldn't fall here. With a roar, Neo lunged forward. His sword turned into a blur of steel and darkness. He targeted the joints of the golems, where their armor was weakest. His blade cut through their defenses, severing their limbs and shattering their cores. The fourth wave was strong, but Neo was stronger. As long as he could hold one, he would win. One by one, they fell, until only a single golem remained. Neo, panting heavily, met its gaze. It charged with its obsidian fists raised. Neo cleaved the golem in two with a single powerful strike. But as it fell, the gates trembled once more. The fifth and final wave emerged. Neo's heart remained calm. His body might have been in tatters, but he had faced worse situations and survived. This wasn't enough to defeat him. The golems were enormous, towering over him with bodies made of pure stone, reinforced with divine energy. There were 15 of them. The ground shook with their every step. Neo's body screamed in protest. It wanted to rest. Move. This isn't the time to rest. Neo unleashed his aura of death and darkness. An overwhelming presence descended. The golems faltered. Neo did not let go of the chance. He dived amidst them. Giant bolts of red lightning crashed into the golems. The monsters stood tall as the red lightning failed to pierce their defenses. The nearest golem punched towards Neo. He wrapped arm, an aura of darkness, and grabbed the punch. The black flames absorbed the impact. Before the golem could retaliate, Neo stabbed the sword into its body and injected the aura of death inside it through the sword. Their defense was strong, but their insides were still weak. The golem exploded. Dust and gravel filled the air. Neo used it as an opportunity. He jumped towards the next golem's head and sliced its neck off. The loss of visibility impaired the golems. Neo, like a Grim Reaper, reaped their lives before they could organize themselves. Not every golem went down easily. The creature used their massive fists to deliver ground-shattering blows. Blocking them made him feel like he was getting rammed by trucks. Neo, panting and exhausted, continued to swing his sword without a break. Suddenly, Percival's voice echoed. "The test has been finished." The shout snapped Neo out of his stupor. Neo realized the golems were all dead, and he was standing in the arena filled with their broken body parts. He was panting heavily. There was no major injury on his body. Neo could feel the results of his training. If it was before, he would have been fatally injured or perhaps been defeated in a battle of this level. Neo Hargraves, time taken to complete the test, 34 minutes, 24 seconds. Percival stared at Neo with mixed emotions. His record was not broken. He maintained the title of the fastest clear. "Your record survived," Ophelia said. By 3 seconds. Percival felt complicated. His pride was hurt. Neo could have broken his record if he gave the test with normal difficulty or if he took the test in second semester. Ophelia chuckled when she saw his expression. "Don't be too sad. There's always a bigger fish out there. If it wasn't him, it would have been Morgan who would show you that you were never the most talented." "I am most talented." Percival smirked. "I gave my test indoor where the sun couldn't reach me. I cannot use my blessing due to it. My time would have been less if I could." Ophelia was exasperated. She clicked her tongue and returned to the seats where the other student council members sat. Cashin was on the professors who came to watch the test. They acted as witness. "He is good." Cashin licked his lips. He took out his smartphone and dialed a number. The ringtone rang for a few minutes. "It's me," he added. "I've confirmed Neo Hargrave's performance with my eyes." "How is he?" "Well," Cashin's gaze lingered at the destruction Neo left behind in his wake. The air was still filled with death elementals. "He is a veteran. Even though he was fighting large number of monsters, he skillfully maneuvered around them to keep them from trapping him in their formations and took them out one by one at a rapid pace." Cashin pursed his lips. "Honestly, I believe the rumors are true. He must have been undergoing training or a mission during 3 months he was gone. That's the only way to explain how a demigod, who awakened his god blood, just before attending the academy, can fight this well. Continue observing him and keep reporting to us. Huh? I thought I would be allowed to engage with him? No, do not engage with him under any circumstances. We can't afford to offend Neo Hargraves again. Again? What do you mean by that? Raoul, give me an answer. Do you know about the recent attack on our clan's headquarters? Of course I do. It was done by an adult phoenix. Yes, we were attacked by a phoenix, but that's only the half-truth. The real reason we were attacked was because Neo was inside the infirmary. The nurse applied medicines to his wounds and gave him something to drink. While Neo was resting, the door opened. Percival, followed by Amelia, entered. The student council president turned to the nurse. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Petrina. We'll take it from here. Got it. Percival's smile disappeared after the nurse left. He stared at Neo. Congratulations, you've passed the test. The credits have been already transferred to your account. Yes, I've checked. Percival did not say anything anymore. His actions earned a sigh from Amelia. Stop being cranky because he performed better than you. I'm not cranky. Percival clicked his tongue. Thank you for using Novel Bin. Neo Hargraves, your position in the student council has been decided. You will be a disciplinary officer. Percival took out a black ring and gave it to Neo. This is the proof of your identity as the member of student council. Since you are new, Amelia will be guiding you for the next few weeks. Come to the student council office from tomorrow onwards. He left after giving the basic instructions. Amelia shook her head with a sigh. Sorry about him. It's just his confidence took a hit when you returned from the window. You know, when you returned, you were dead and you still managed to rescue your friend, Jack? Apparently, that scene terrified him. He hasn't been in his right state of mind since then. The two spoke. Amelia congratulated him for joining the student council. She explained his duties to him and left. After an hour of rest, Neo stood up. He moved his body. Feeling he had healed sufficiently, he left the infirmary. He visited the Professor Daniel's office. There was, again, no reply. He waited until the evening and returned to cafeteria when he started feeling hungry. The line was not long. He took his food and sat in a corner seat at the far end of the cafeteria. While eating, Felix and Arthur entered the cafeteria. The two, returning from their classes, came for snacks when they noticed Neo. Hey, why didn't you come to the class? Felix questioned. They sat on the same table as Neo. I was busy. Busy with what? Felix stopped speaking when she noticed the black ring on Neo's finger. Arthur saw the ring at the same time. What? How? Felix stared at Neo, stunned. How did you join the student council? They approached me and offered me to take the test. Wait. Explain everything from the beginning. Neo almost wanted to sigh. He recounted the events of the day. Jack was right. Nothing normal happens when we are with you. I can't decide if I should be surprised that the student council came to you first, or if I should ask how you passed the test so easily. Neo rolled his eyes. The cafeteria was filled with murmurs and fingers pointing at Neo after Felix shouted how he joined the student council. He ignored the unwanted attention and filled his stomach. The day ended without more surprises. Neo lay on his bed. It was already night. He closed his eyes and activated the death skill. His sense of balance shifted and he appeared inside the building in the Tartale town. 3 months ago, after Neo and other went to visit the Sphinx, Charlotte completed the paperwork. She put down the pen and removed her glasses. Rubbing her eyes, she laid back in the chair. The puppet maids entered the room while she was resting. Master, you called? Yes, since the paperwork is done, I thought I would complete the task I've been procrastinating until now. Charlotte stood up and wore her coat. She whistled. A beat later, the giant phoenix flew down from the sky and waited outside her window. The mythical beast suddenly started to become smaller. It became as small as a fist and sat on Charlotte's shoulder after flying into the room. Create a portal to the Zeus clan's headquarters. Master, the older puppet maid, who had purple earring, hesitated. It will take us time to open a portal inside their headquarters. Their defensive formation might throw us into an unknown dimension if we are not careful. Charlotte snorted when she heard the answer. There is no need to worry so much. We are not infiltrating the place secretly. Knock down their doors with brute force. The puppet maids nodded. If they did not have to worry about hiding their portals or their divine energy signature, the task became much easier. The two held their hands and chanted a spell. The divine energy in the air churned. Silver motes of energy shimmered. The bodies of Charlotte and the puppet maids flickered, and suddenly they were floating in the sky above a grand city. The phoenix grew in size and caught them on its back before they fell. Huff! Huff! Master, this is the closest we can create a portal to the Zeus clan's headquarters. It's good enough. Charlotte focused on the city below her. Their sudden appearance and attempt to enter the headquarters unauthorized put the city on lockdown. The peoples were scattering around, and station guards were preparing their weapons. Burn them! The phoenix responded to her command. It released a shrill cry before spewing gigantic flames from its mouth. The flames were stopped by the invisible barrier covering the city. The barrier started to crack under the relentless attacks of the phoenix. High-ranking demigods flew out of the city. Please wait. Why are you attacking us? Principal of Demigod Academy. Bring out your clan elders. You have 10 seconds. Charlotte waved her hand. The hundreds of giant fireballs materialized in the sky, ready to fall over the Zeus clan. This is the Zeus clan. How dare you? 10. Stop it right this instant. Even if you're the principal of Demigod Academy, this is crossing the line. 4. Did you just skip the counts? 1 and 0. The fireballs fell like a meteor shower. The defensive formation of the Zeus clan was shattered. Dozens of buildings were destroyed, and the city was badly damaged. The soldiers' faces hardened. They never thought Charlotte would actually attack them. No one has died yet. However, I can't promise the same for the next attack. Bring out your clan elders, or suffer the consequences. Just as Charlotte was about to conjure another volley of giant fireballs, an old man flew out of the city. He had long white beard, and his face was filled with wrinkles. You are too feisty for your age, Charlotte. What will the youngsters think when they see you like this? He floated before Charlotte. Charlotte stared at him with murderous intent. Is that how you're going to apologize for what you did in my academy? Haha, are you here for that? You could have just called me. The old man looked at his troops. All of you can leave. I'll take over the situation from here. But Elder Putin, leave. The soldiers could feel the suppressed anger behind the elder's smile. They retreated as they had been ordered. Alone in the sky, Voron Putin, one of the elders of Zeus clan, opened his mouth. How about we continue this talk in a better place? Fine. Charlotte snapped her fingers. The puppet maids teleported Charlotte and Voron into an office. Oh, where are we right now? Charlotte glared at Voron. It's strange, Voron. I don't see you apologizing for trying to kill one of my children. You mean Neo Hargraves? Voron chuckled. I didn't think he would attack our headquarters for just a single student. He isn't even that important. Voron. Charlotte spoke slowly, her voice dripping with murderous intent. Touch my children again, and you'll have a war with the Academy. For the first time, the smile disappeared from Voron's face. He had been thought Charlotte was just lashing out. However, the threat of a war made things different. Just for a single kid? He isn't even from a god clan. Charlotte did not answer. However, her gaze spoke plenty. She was not giving empty threats. Charlotte had refused Neo to give him any support against Lucas' betrayal. But that was a lie meant to trick Neo. Neo was blessed with friends and family who cared for him. He could easily take them for granted and start doing things, believing he would never face repercussions. It was why Charlotte treated Neo as if he was nothing special. Nevertheless, it did not mean she would spare Zeus clan after they tried to kill him. Neo looked around. He tried to find Celine. Where is she? Don't tell me she thought I wouldn't return and left. It did not bode well. Neo needed the blood droplets. The last droplet helped him recover 10% of his divine energy. For more droplets, and he could recover all the divine energy he lost in the contract with Paimon. I need it no matter what. If I had my original divine energy pool during the student council test, I would have been able to use the blessing more freely and broken Percival's record. Neo left the building. He was looking around the town, searching for Celine, and found her. The spider was eating noodles on an open stall. She froze when she noticed Neo. And Neo, why are you here? I told you I'll come to complete the mission. Wait, you are here for that. She slurped the noodles in one smooth motion and came out of the stall in a hurry. Should we start the mission? That's why I'm here. Celine was excited and grateful. The two left the Tartale town. Thank you for coming, Neo. I really mean it. It's been difficult to find teammates. If you didn't come, I didn't know what I would have done. It's fine. I'm just completing my side of the deal. Yup, about that. You don't need to worry. The blood droplet location I know is still a secret. I'm the only one who knows about it. Neo nodded. They were moving away from the Tartale town at a swift pace, thanks to Celine's shadow movement spell. Can you tell me something about this mad hound? How strong is he? Soul Hunter Building, Tartale Town. The Flying Skull, Scalix, tended to the mission reports as usual. The long lines of soul hunters before his desk never ended. It was a usual day for Scalix until he noticed a commotion. Get in line, you fucker. Stop breaking the line. We've been waiting for an hour for our turn. How dare you break the line? A sigh escaped Scalix's lips. Must be a newbie if they don't know the rules. Scalix stopped speaking when he noticed the golden badge on the newbie's shoulder. That's the badge of a Soul Reaper. Hey, you idiots, shut up. The Flying Skull floated towards the center of the commotion. Don't shout, idiots. Can't you recognize your superiors? He scolded the people before turning to the girl who broke the line. She had blue hair and twisted horns on her head. Scalix took a subservient attitude in front of her. What does our humble town owe the honor of a visit from a Soul Reaper? Silence fell over the hall. They couldn't believe Scalix's words. Soul Reaper was the highest rank. It was just one step away from the mythical Grim Reapers. The ones who had shouted at the girl quivered. We're sorry, Mississippi. We didn't recognize you. She ignored them. Her gaze was fixed at Scalix, and her next words made the Flying Skull flinch. I'm here for the Madhound mission. And Madhound? I know he is a disaster for us. But that's for us. Someone as esteemed as you doesn't need to bother with him. Scalix was not lying. A team of Soul Wardens would be enough for Madhound. Celine and her late team members were Soul Keeper rank. Although they were annihilated, they had nearly defeated Madhound. The blue-haired Soul Reaper took out 2 photos. Madhound has these 2 as his captives. My job is with them. Aren't these the Zeus clan souls who came to the underworld a few months ago? That's true. I came to the underworld along with them. That's why I want to save them before Madhound corrupts them. Scalix was surprised that the girl before him became a Soul Reaper in just 6 months. He suppressed his curiosity and advised the girl. Madhound has the ability to command those whom he corrupts. He kidnaps souls before soul hunters find them and turn them into his minions. If he has your friends, I'm afraid. The unsaid words were clear to the Soul Reaper girl. She frowned. I can't leave before I confirm it with my own eyes. Just tell me Madhound's last known location. Scalix followed her words. After completing the procedure, he watched the blue-haired girl leave. A sigh escaped his lips. If her words are true and Madhound has gained Zeus clan bloodholders as his minions, Celine and the boy stands no chance. I hope she arrives on time and save them. The Flying Skull regretted failing to stop Celine from choosing her revenge. If he had not given her the mission a few days ago, the Soul Reaper that came today would have dealt with the Madhound. Celine would have gotten a closure, even if she didn't kill the Madhound with her own hands. But now there was no guarantee Celine and the boy would survive. Neo and Celine reached a destroyed town. Are we in the right place? Neo asked. The mission details said Madhound was last near the Daclea Lake. Yes, but I doubt Madhound has not changed his location. He will be here. According to his habits, this is the most probable location. This town is one of the Reaper towns that were destroyed in the aftermath of Veldora and Neramax's battle. There would have been gravely injured people around. It's the perfect place for Madhound to restore the minions he lost. Celine and Neo enter the town while talking. The minions he lost? Yes, my last team wiped out almost every minion he had. Only a few weeks passed since then. He wouldn't have been able to gather many minions. We can defeat him with just 2 of us while he is weakened. So, that's why you were absorbing the blood droplet. I take it as everyone refused to team with you after your last team was defeated. Since you had no one, you decided to fight Madhound after you got a boost from the blood droplet? Yes, That's exactly what happened. Celine let out a melancholic smile. The people in the Tartale town think I lied when I told them my late team wiped out the minions of Madhound. They reached the center of the town. Neo and Celine sensed multiple presences surrounding them. So, what's the plan? I'll take care of the Adhound. You only need to distract his minions. Celine took out a tiny black ball from her shadow space and gave it to him. It's a black pearl fruit. The corrupted monsters love it. The minions of Madhound are all corrupted monsters. They'll follow you as long as you have that fruit. Neo took the fruit from Celine. She nodded to him and activated her shadow movement spell. Her body turned into a drop of ink and fell into the shadows on the ground. She'll search for the Madhound and defeat it while I distract his minions. It's a simple plan, but I don't dislike it. He unsheathed Obitus. The minions, dozens in numbers, were small monsters of misshapen shapes. Some of them looked like humans with twisted limbs and crawled on all fours while their stomach faced the sky. Some had the head of a bear, the hands of a grasshopper's, and the body of a beetle. Neo kept the black fruit inside his pocket. The minions rushed at him from all sides, their claws drawn. He was about to react in kind when suddenly his blessing reacted. It activated on its own. Neo, surprised, was forced to dodge the monsters and retreat. He jumped back to put some distance between the minions and back. Obitus, what are you doing? I did not trigger the blessing, Master. The blessing was activated from the other side. The other side? The minions caught up to him and attacked. Neo ducked to dodge the overhead swing. He slashed at the minion's thigh and kicked it away. The one who gave you the blessing activated it. Neo's eyes widened. The blessing was given to him by the underworld. What does the underworld want from me? There was no time to think. The blessing was draining his divine energy at a frightening pace. He couldn't deactivate it. I'll finish this before my divine energy empties out. Neo slid the sword back into the sheath. He took the stance and wrapped the blade in aura of death and darkness. He compressed the auras and let them build up. The minions attacked him. Just as their attacks were about to land, Neo unsheathed the blade and slashed, too fast for the eye to see, in wide arc. The air around him ruptured and the ground shattered. The minions dropped at a frightening pace as the death reaped their lives. Neo returned the blade to the sheath with a soft click. He looked at the corpses around him. It was quite easy. Looks like Celine was right. Madhound didn't have time to refill his stash of minions. Neo thought everything was over until he saw his blessing still activated. It refused to deactivate. Master, the blessing wants you to. I know. I noticed it. Neo could feel why the blessing was going out of control. It wants me to give a closure to the minions. The minions, corrupted by the darkness, would become a part of darkness after their death in Underworld. They would suffer for eternity while experiencing the insanity of darkness. The same madness Neo suffered while he used darkness. Listening to the voices of darkness for a few seconds was painful. Neo did not want to think how it would feel to hear the voices for the unending eternity. The underworld wants me to make the minions a part of myself, instead of letting them suffer under the true darkness. Neo nodded. He always planned to do that. There was no way he was letting go of free stats. The darkness hidden inside his shadow bloomed. It devoured the minions. CM, PYR for more. The voices returned. Neo could feel a faint presence of minions settling inside him, just like everything he devoured. Giving the closure to the dead, huh? This must be the responsibility of the Blessing Barbados and Paimon we're talking about. While Neo was focused on devouring the minions, his senses suddenly warned him of an incoming attack. Neo blinked, and an arrow wrapped in golden lightning was already in front of his face. There was no time to dodge. Come out, Madhound. I know you are here. Celine walked through the forest at a slow pace. She spread out her senses and kept her eyes out for any ambush. A sound came from the above. Little spider, you are back. She raised her head and looked at the tree branches, but no one was there. How many times has it been? 2, 3, 5. The voice was coming from different directions every time it spoke. Celine couldn't pinpoint its source. You should know by now you can't defeat me, little spider. We won't know until one of us dies. Well, what can I say? I always try my best to kill you. You're just awfully good at escaping. Your friends, though, are not. Madhound's words made her recall the horrible past. Celine forced herself to remain calm. Madhound continued to speak. I still remember the first time we met. It was surprising to meet a soul who did not want to survive and was prepared to go along with the Reapers. Bah, I tell you, there is no paradise. Those Reapers are just lying to everybody. You should stay in the forest of all beginnings and enjoy your life. Dying's still better than watching yourself slowly become a monster, Celine retorted. Well, little spider, you're talking as if it's my fault you became a monster. It is your fault. Celine lost her cool. She couldn't stay calm after hearing the provocative words of Madhound. I wouldn't have stayed here if you didn't corrupt my friends and turn them into your minions. How's that my fault? Kiki, you wanted revenge, and you refused to go with the Reapers until you killed me. It's your damn fault you became a monster since you were too weak to kill me. Madhound couldn't complete his words. Celine suddenly entered her shadow. He, hidden among the branches, looked around. Where did she go? Behind you. Before Madhound could react, one of Celine's leg pierced his back. The werewolf. Madhound howled in pain. You? How? I was talking to you. Find your location. Celine smirked. She wasn't stupid enough to be agitated by Madhound words. You damn spider, let me go. Why don't you laugh now? Celine stabbed another leg into his back. Too weak to fight without your minions? I bet you never thought I could get another teammate. Uffed. I know you brought a teammate with you. He'll die to my minions, while I kill you finally for once and all. Madhound's words were ominous. Before Celine could respond, Madhound melted like a wax. This is a double. Madhound's voice came from behind her. The sword in his hand pierced her neck. Can't believe you fell for the oldest trick in the book. So much for defeating me. Madhound smirked. He grabbed one of her legs and snapped it before she could run away. Celine clenched her jaw. She tried to ignore the pain while searching for a way to escape. Little spider. Oh, my little spider, what do you want? Madhound grabbed her head and muttered in a glee. Will you escape again while your teammate dies at my minion's hands? Or will you die along with him? He whispered in her ears. I would recommend dying. I'm sick of fighting you already. We don't need to do it anymore. Madhound twisted the blade inside her neck. The arrow was in front of Neo's face before he knew. He triggered the ocean's embrace at the last second and let the arrow bounce off his skin harmlessly. It was easy, or so he thought, when suddenly a golden blurry figure appeared next to him. The figure, cloaked in lightning, attacked at a speed faster than Neo. He could not react, even with the warnings of death affinity. The new minion was a human with leopard legs and whiskers. Golden lightning crackled around him and his face. Neo stiffened. He recognized the minion. Kendrick D. Valemont, the Zeus clan members that died in the window alongside Christian and others. Kendrick, now a minion, ignored Neo's shock. He punched Neo in the abdomen, causing him to fly back into a broken building. Neo coughed blood. He had broken a few ribs in the last attack. Kendrick had grown stronger after he was corrupted by the darkness. He must have devoured monsters. A lot of them. The monster Kendrick bolted towards Neo on all fours, leaving no room for Neo to breath. Neo did not move, nor did he try to dodge. His mind was blank. If Kendrick is corrupted by darkness, he can't be revived. The realization hit him like a giant hammer, leaving him paralyzed under the weight of it. The monster Kendrick paid no heed to Neo's thoughts. He, powered by Invincible, rained down a flurry of punches. Neo did not fight back. His body was smashed into the ground. The pain he could ignore, but the truth before his eyes made him feel like he was being choked. Not just Kendrick, Gwen D. Langley too. Gwen shot the first arrow. The arrow, wrapped in golden lighting, was too fast to be fired by a normal monster. It must have been shot by Gwen, who died in the window and was now using Invincible. The golden lightning was the proof. This is my fault. Neo barely interacted with Kendrick or Gwen. They were neither his friends nor his acquaintances. Still, they were his responsibility. He had vowed to save them. Please kill me. Suddenly, Kendrick stopped attacking. His face contorted and tears shimmered in his eyes. He had come to his senses for a moment. Neo, you're Neo, right? Please, I do not want to become a monster. Devour in me. In me. How did you regain? Before Neo could complete his words, Kendrick lost control over himself again. He growled and grabbed Neo's leg and threw him. Neo's body bounced a few times before coming to a stop. Fuck. He stood up and wiped the blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. Fuck. I hate this shitty feeling of helplessness. He gripped his sword. His eyes were focused on the monster Kendrick rushing towards him. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. Neo resolved his dilemma. I'm sorry for giving you a fake promise. He unleashed his aura of darkness. It's impossible to save you now. The monster reached him. He ignored the incoming attack and slashed at his neck. I'll put you out of your misery at the least. Just as Neo's sword was about to behead Kendrick, an arrow warped in lightning struck his sword. The attack changed, his trajectory changed, and he missed. It became an opportunity for Kendrick. He landed a clean attack on Neo. But Neo stood firm. He absorbed the impact of Kendrick's attack by using the aura of darkness. Neo grabbed Kendrick's hand and wrestled him into a hold. Kendrick continued to try and get out of Neo's grip, but he was no match for Neo while he was using his blessing. A familiar voice resounded just as he was about to snap his neck. Wait! Gwen rushed out of the woods. Don't kill Kendrick. The last thing Neo expected was Gwen to give up her advantage of being hidden and come out in the open. However, more surprising was, you can talk. Yes, I haven't corrupted by the darkness. Gwen answered while slowly closing the distance. I have darkness affinity. I can resist the corruption. Neo took a deep breath. He was a bit relieved and suspicious at the same time. Why are you working for Madhound if you aren't his minion? Because he has the way to reverse the corruption of darkness. He promised to save Kendrick. Neo's face hardened. She believed those words? As a darkness wielder, she would have known there was no going back after one was corrupted by the darkness. I know what you're thinking, but here, they have a way to stop the progress of corruption. It's possible they can reserve it too. She was desperate. Neo had seen those eyes. People like her were already dead inside. They knew there was no hope, and they still kept searching for it, clinging to it. Fucking shitty coincidence to meet them here. Neo clicked his tongue. I'll kill him and... No. Why are you thinking of killing him? He hasn't become a corrupted monster yet. You saw him regain control. We can save him. Please. Neo didn't let her words affect his psyche. It was already too late for Kendrick. Killing him was far better than letting him suffer under darkness. Gwen aimed her bow at Neo's head when she realized he wouldn't stop. Stop, or I'll kill you. You are too weak to do that. Neo was about to finish Kendrick when suddenly his blessing reacted. It didn't want him to devour Kendrick. A different voice, not belonging to Obitus, spoke in his mind. Not souls. Judge them before delivering a punishment to them. The words made no sense to Neo, but he instinctively knew what he had to do, how the blessing was supposed to be used. An obsidian black glow covered Neo's hand. Gwen became dazed when she saw the black light. She didn't know what was happening, but the black light was assuring. It somehow convinced her Neo wasn't harming Kendrick. Neo placed his free hand over Kendrick's head. Foreign memories rushed into Neo's mind. A boy born in Valemont family belonging to Zeus clan. He was mischievous and cheeky like any other child. He lost his playful attitude as he grew up in the cutthroat environment of Valemont family, where bloodbath and death was a daily occurrence. Only the best survived in that harsh hell. The boy managed to remain kind even after living there. He was made fun of by his cousins, called naive by the adults. Surprisingly, the boy was talented. Contrary to everyone's expectations, he was one of the best of his generation. The clan, satisfied by his strength, allowed him to take the test for Demigod Academy and let him represent them. The boy hated the strength-obsessed clan. Who were they to not let him take the test if he was weak? Still, his life, his goals, his aspirations, everything was decided by the clan. He was their puppet. He couldn't deny them. Nevertheless, the fate worked in mysterious ways. The first time the boy denied his clan was after he entered the academy under the clan's order. Interfere with the test of Kingsley Kid. Don't let him complete the requirements of S-rank mission, they said. The boy let the Kingsley kid pass the test. The boy was punished for his insubordinates. And he had laughed. For the first time in years, he felt like he was himself. Maybe it was time for him to change. Who cared if the clan forced him to follow their words? Morgan was thrown away, and she was still alive. No, the boy wanted to do the same. He wanted to change. He felt like the world was becoming bright again. Just when the boy was about to take a flight for his freedom, he died. Neo gasped. The memories ended. That was Kendrick's life. Neo was disoriented. Still he moved. He followed the blessing and did his duty as the heir of the underworld. You've lived a good life. The black starry glow condensed around Neo's palm. It seeped into Kendrick's body. The corruption of darkness started to break away from Kendrick's body, and his body began to disappear. Thank you. Kendrick regained his sanity at the last moment. Under Neo's gaze, Kendrick disappeared into nothingness. Gwen snapped back to her senses. What did you do to him? What did you do? Neo didn't answer. He looked at his hands and the disappearing glow with a shocked gaze. I sent him into the cycle of reincarnation. Huh? What do you mean? I've reincarnated him. The true power of the blessing. It allowed Neo to judge souls. Just like a judge of the underworld. He evaluated the life of Kendrick D. Valemont and delivered the judgment. You think I'll believe those lies? Gwen let go of the arrow. It flew towards Neo with a swift speed. Neo grabbed arrow. He hadn't used the blessing to boost his physical abilities. Still, he managed to catch the arrow fired by Gwen, who was using Invincible. Neo looked at the source of his strength. You have delivered the judgment. Is satisfied with your judgment. Plus 5 strength, plus 6 agility. It was surprising. Neo never expected the blessing to be like this. The power to judge the souls. Such mythical power belonged to the realms of the gods. Neo cleared those thoughts. He was just an awakened demigod. Becoming a god was too far in the distance. Stop ignoring me. Gwen lunged at him. Before she could do anything, Neo suddenly moved. His figure blurred, and he appeared behind her. Grabbing her neck, he smashed her head into the ground and knocked her out cold. He won. It was laughingly easy. Just a few months ago, he could not hope of defeating a single Zeus clan member, even if he went all out. And now he could defeat them without using his blessing. All that training was worth it. He smiled. I just need to awaken my time element, and I'll finally become the strongest first-year student. First thing first, he looked at the unconscious Gwen. I need to recover my divine energy. He turned his gaze towards the forest. Celine was late. He won't survive, just like your previous teammates. Madhound licked his lips. I've carefully selected my new pets. Itchy won't die. Neo won't. Celine gathered her strength. She believed what she had said. Neo wouldn't be defeated. The reason she recruited Neo was because he survived absorbing the blood droplet. There is no way he is defeating 2 Zeus clan prodigies. What? Celine's blood turned cold. It made Madhound happy. Why do you think I couldn't gather more minions? I was busy working hard collecting those Zeus blood bags. MPY_R. Celine's face lost all color. Good. That's the face I wanted to see before I kill you. Madhound grinned. It's the perfect punishment for the trouble you've caused me. There was no need to keep Celine alive anymore. Madhound pulled the blade out of her neck, causing her to flinch and stumble. He kicked her down the tree and jumped over her. Just as he was about to crush Celine, a red bolt of lightning crashed into him. He was flung away and his back hit the tree. Who is there? Madhound growled. He bared his fangs at the human walking out of the thicket at a leisure pace. It seems your aura of death is just for show. The monsters like Celine and Madhound have been living underworld. Their auras grew stronger after being corrupted. It was why Neo misjudged their strength. In truth, they were. You are pathetically weak. Madhound's eyes widened when he saw Neo. Countless questions surged inside his mind. He rushed towards Neo and drew his menacing claws. I don't know why you are here, but this is better. I'll kill you in front of Celine. Die. Neo spoke a single word. Suddenly, Madhound's legs stopped working. He fell face first into the ground. Growling, Madhound tried to stand, thinking he had tripped. However, he came across a horrible truth. His legs wouldn't move. They were. Dead. What deed did you do? I'm just practicing my elemental control. Neo nodded to himself. It seems it's possible to kill individual parts of the body. Madhound shuddered. Both of them had death element. Yet Neo could kill him with a word. It meant Neo was far stronger than him. Wait a second, don't kill me. I'll do anything you say. Madhound's wolf-like ears flattened as he took on a submissive attitude. I can. Shut your mouth. Neo killed his arms and jaw. He grabbed Madhound by the neck and carried him to the dying Celine. You look like shit. That's a terrible thing to say to your teammate who is about to die. Celine tried to smile, but failed miserably. She had lost too much blood, and her injury was fatal. It was a miracle she wasn't dead yet. Neo threw the Madhound next to her. Devour him. There's a chance you might be able to heal yourself. I doubt I'll be so lucky. There is no harm in trying. Celine didn't try to devour Madhound. She looked at the horror in Madhound's eyes, a smirk. I won't devour him. Let him suffer under the true darkness after he dies as a monster. Her dying eyes were full of relief and gratitude towards Neo. About the blood droplet. Cough, I'll tell you the location. Stop spouting nonsense. Neo created a tiny aura blade with right hand's fingers. He used it to slice off his left hand's fifth finger. What are you doing? Neo ignored Celine. He focused on devouring the blood from the finger. Only an empty husk of flesh and bones was left behind. He threw it to Celine. Devour this. It will heal you. Celine didn't understand how or why Neo's flesh could heal him. He had to be a Grim Reaper or even higher than them to have that kind of body. She shook her head. You'll never regenerate that finger if I devour it. It's just a pinky finger, and I'm not giving it to you for free. Neo had no problem giving up a finger. He wouldn't lose anything if Celine devoured it. Besides, unlike Celine thought, the finger would regenerate when he ranked up. The only problem was if the finger would heal Celine, since he took away all the blood. Celine was still reluctant, but it was clear Neo was not going to budge. Darkness beneath her stretched. It devoured the finger. Instantly, a surge of power rushed into Celine. Her injuries began to heal. Her affinity with death and darkness saw a tremendous boost. The corruption of darkness, that was always threatening to drown her, stopped progressing. It was miraculous, almost impossible. Everything that happened after she devoured Neo's finger defied logic. She stared at Neo with a different gaze, as if she was looking at a higher being, at a god. Who are you? If you are healed, focus on the task at hand. Neo pointed at Madhound with his chin. Celine followed his gaze. She understood Neo did not want to answer her question and complied. Madhound was salivating. Unlike Celine, he had smelled the scent of Neo's blood, even though Neo devoured it as soon as it came in contact with air. Finish him, Neo said. Celine stood up. With a swift thrust, she pierced Madhound's head. The werewolf continued to stare at Neo until the end with greed. Neo destroyed his body with death element after he died. He made sure no one could devour Madhound's corpse and let him escape from true darkness. Thank you. Celine lowered her head. I could get my revenge only because of... She choked up. She finally avenged her friends. Neo pat her back. She tried to hold back her tears and spoke. I'm fine. I'll take you to the place. There is something I need you to do before that. Neo brought her to the unconscious Gwen. She is the Zeus clan soul working under Madhound. I want you to take care of her after she wakes up. Wouldn't she try to fight me? She will. That's why you need to deal with her without harming her. Just say that you saved her from me. If she doesn't listen to you, tell her some random bullshit about you wanting revenge against me, and you saved her because you saw yourself in her or something. I'm sure she'll follow you after that. Celine didn't ask why Neo wanted to help the girl, or why the girl wanted to kill Neo. She owned him and was prepared to do whatever he demanded. Make sure she doesn't die or fall to the corruption. After understanding the power of the blessing, Neo was torn between the choices. Was it really correct to revive Gwen and others? In the underworld, their lives would be judged and they would receive appropriate verdict. Death wasn't a cruel mistress. She was the inevitable end of the journey known as life. There was no need to avoid her. Neo decided to have Celine babysit Gwen until he made a decision. After he explained everything to Celine, she carried Gwen over her back. The three traveled through the forest and reached a massive hole. The blood droplet and down there. Neo peered into the hole. It stretched across hundreds of meters, and its depth was obscured with darkness. Even with his ability to see in the dark, he couldn't find the end of the hole. Are you sure there's a blood drop down there? Yes, and it's a big one. Neo frowned. Why isn't anyone trying to take it? This place is as empty as they come. Because this place is called Well of Death. Anyone who entered it never left. Celine continued. Neo, I know you want the blood droplet, but please think about your safety too. Take care of Gwen. Neo cut her off and jumped. His body fell into a hole at an alarming speed. His clothes fluttered, and Neo could sense the increasing presence of death. Strange, this presence of death doesn't belong to my blood. Why can't I sense the blood droplet? Neo stretched his senses to the limit. His actions alerted the monsters hiding in the wall of the hole. Giant worms came out. They dashed towards Neo, their maws filled with thousands of razor-sharp teeth, ready to tear him apart. Die! Condensed bolts of red lighting materialized around Neo. The death worms died as soon as they entered Neo's vicinity. He continued to fall, ignoring the monster's attack. Suddenly, Neo felt as if his body passed through a boundary. The monster stopped following him. The presence of death lingering in the surroundings disappeared. And Neo finally understood why no one came out of the hole. Life. Holy. The two elements were present in abundance down there. Your Vliet MPYR source. His skin began to tear apart as the elements, opposing to his own, seeped into his body. Technically, Neo was dead. The holy element and life element were poison to him in his current state. Why are these elements present in Underworld? Neo was about to hit the ground. He plunged his sword into the wall to slow his descent. He stopped at an appropriate height. There was no danger even if he fell from his current position. He pulled out the sword and landed on the ground with a thud. It feels like shit here. Neo chewed out his words. He walked to the shimmering lake present in center. It was the source of life and holy element. Anyone who entered the hole must have been purified by the elements. His expression twisted when he noticed the giant blood droplet floating above the lake. It's really a big blood droplet, like she said. He ruffled his hair. Fuck. He could still feel a stinging pain all over his body. The presence of death from the blood droplet was clashing against the holy and life presence radiating from the lake. Those presences were suppressing his blood's presence and being suppressed at return. It was why Neo could not sense his blood droplet from the top of the hole. This is troublesome. If he absorbed the blood, the life and holy element would be unleashed fully. Right now, they were being held back as blood droplet. When the blood droplet, Neo would be purified and vaporized by the unrestricted holy and life element. Fuck, why the hell are these things here? Neo sat cross-legged on the ground. There was no point in wasting time, complaining. I'll use Immortal to return to the world of living as soon as I absorb the blood. He began to absorb the blood. The blood was being suppressed by the overwhelming amount of life and holy elements in the surroundings. It made the process easier. Neo grunted. His divine energy pool began to increase at a frightening speed. It recovered to the half of his original reserves in a few minutes. He regained his previous divine energy pool as time went by. The blood droplet was still far from being absorbed completely. Neo's divine energy pool continued to increase. His veins swelled as the flow of blood-rich and divine energy increased. 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, twice. Neo's divine energy reserve became twice as large as his original reserve. The life element and holy element started to go out of control. His body was crumbling away, turning into dust. Neo unleashed his aura of death and darkness to reduce the impact of holy and life elements over him. He absorbed the blood droplet hurriedly. 2 1/2, thrice, 3 1/2, 4 times, 4 1/2, 5 times. The half of the blood droplet disappeared. Neo was shocked to see the amount of divine energy stored in the blood droplet. If the droplet was not inside the well of death, it would have caused war among the monsters for its ownership. Half of Neo's arms had crumbled away. The holy and life element healed his wounds before burning them away again. Neo bit his lips to stifle the screams. 5 times and a fourth. 5 times and a half. Neo encountered a new problem. His body was rejecting the divine energy. It was too overwhelming. He had become an overcharged battery. Any more and he would burst. Neo gritted his teeth. This is my blood. Fuck you mean I can't take it back? He activated all of his spells. His mental energy was being drained at a rapid pace. Blood trickled down his nose. The spells reduced his divine energy and made space for more. 6 times. 7 times. 8 times. 8 times and a half. 9 times. 9 times and a half. 10 times. Neo absorbed the blood droplet. He used immortal swiftly and returned to world of living before the holy and life elements pulverized him. His body healed. He stumbled and fell to his knees, groaning. Too much divine energy. His current reserves were comparable to Grade 3 or even Grade 2 mythic demigod. Neo used Ocean's Embrace, activated his blessing, and materialized condensed bolts of red lighting. Using 3 divine energy-heavy techniques reduced the burden, but it was barely enough. Neo felt bloated. He gagged. His skin turned purple as more and more of his blood vessels burst, unable to handle the divine energy. Neo clenched his fists. His nails dug into his skin. He tried to concentrate. Darkness. Devour. The darkness bloomed like a flower. It crawled up Neo's skin and seeped into his body. He devoured the divine energy. The overflowing power disappeared slowly, and Neo could finally breathe. Oh, fuck. I almost thought it wouldn't work. Neo devoured the divine energy until only a fourth of his present reserves remained. He kept his divine energy suppressed and devoured it as soon as it recovered more than a fourth. Better to place a limit on myself than explode like a balloon. He could finally stop worrying about his divine energy pool. Now, whenever there was a battle, he could stop limiting his divine energy reserves and use Essence Breath spell to recover it to its full capacity. With the amount he had, he wouldn't run out of divine energy even if he used all of his techniques at the same time. That's one thing out of the way. Neo nodded to himself. Out of the frying pan into the fire. He would wake up in the well of death when he returns to the underworld. Maybe I shouldn't have been too hasty in entering the well. He let out a bitter smile. Despite his words, Neo would have done the same if had a second chance. There is no guarantee no one else would enter the well and steal the blood droplet. A soul with holy or life element could survive down there. There are 2 ways I can resist the holy and life elements. Either my mastery in death or darkness reaches a high level, or I awaken holy or life element myself. He massaged the bridge of his nose. I would need to reach expert mastery death and darkness to resist the overwhelming among of holy and life down there. I don't know how long it would take. My safest bet is completing Barbado's training and receiving the holy element from the system quest. His expression worsened. He still had no idea how he had to surpass himself to clear the 4th trial. Fuck my life. It was always bad to worse. Neo looked at the rising sun. He yawned. I'll take a short nap before the classes start. The day was tiring. He needed rest to regain his mental energy. After a power nap, Neo visited the meditation hall. He knocked on the office door. Professor Daniel, are you there? The door opened, much to Neo's surprise. A young man, seemingly in his early 20s, opened the office door. He adjusted his glasses and stared at Neo with a stern gaze. You again? I told you I won't help you awaken your time element. Professor, I can compensate you. Leave. Neo clicked his tongue. However, he did not leave. There was a reason Neo worked hard to become the first-ranked student. It was to abuse the powers that came with the position. You will teach me. What did you say? I'm a ruler. One of the privileges given to me is I can ask for any professor for a private lesson, and they must comply unless there is a proper reason. Contrary to Neo's expectations, Professor Daniel was not angry. He blinked, confused when he heard of the privilege. When was that rule added? A few hundred years ago. Oh, Professor Daniel made a thoughtful expression. I don't remember it being there the last time I checked the Academy rules. And Pierre. He nodded. I will teach you if a rule like that exists. But not right now. I'm busy at the moment. Come back later. Neo struck his foot in the doorway to stop it from closing. Professor Daniel frowned. How much long should I wait? Neo asked. Instead of answering, Professor Daniel stared at Neo's foot. Is this how students act these days? Do they have no concept of respect for teachers? I apologize for it, but I have a tight schedule. I can't wait here all day for your work to be done. Professor Daniel's eyes scanned Neo from head to toe. Impatience isn't a virtue for a time mage. He looked at Neo with a stern gaze. This wouldn't work. You won't be able to awake in time, as you are right now. You are too impatient. He nodded. I'll teach you right now, but you need to pay. I don't need credits. Pay me with your patience. It will double as you're training. Neo's face hardened. An ominous premonition crept into his heart. How will I pay with my patience? Stay outside of my office until I leave my office. If you can do that, I will help you in awakening your time element. Are you doing this because I stopped you from closing the door? I wouldn't do something as petty as that. Neo was exasperated. Was everyone here petty? He couldn't refuse the payment. It was genuine, even if it was just to fuck him over. How can I know you won't leave through a back door? There is no back door in my office. Can I check? Professor Daniel didn't like Neo's attitude, but he stepped aside and allowed him to enter. The office was small and cozy with plenty of sunlight entering through the window. Neo used the darkness. He commanded it to cover the room. The darkness entered the gaps in the drawers and seeped into the cracks on the walls. Neo recalled the darkness after a few minutes. There is no back door or a hidden door. He frowned. The first time I came here, he disappeared from the office. I'm sure of it. If there is no back door, did he teleport outside? I don't have space element. I can't teleport. Professor Daniel answered as if he had read his mind. Don't worry. I won't use any petty tricks. I will leave my office through the front door only. Neo nodded. He agreed to Professor Daniel's demand. He sat on a bench outside the office. Amelia and Felix came to find him in the evening. Why didn't you come to the student council office? Amelia questioned. I'm busy with the professor. Neo told them about his deal with Professor Daniel. I see. Good luck, Amelia said. I'll explain everything to the student council members. They are an understanding bunch. They won't have any problem if you miss the student council work for a few days. Thank you for the trouble. They left. During the night, Neo, bored, killed himself, then revived himself as soon as he arrived in the underworld. He received a notification of Immortal's EXP rising. I can continue my training at the least while I wait. It was 10 in the night when the group came to him. Why are all of you here? We thought we would bring you dinner. Then we thought it would be weird if you ate while the other person stared at you. One thing led to another, and all of us decided to eat together here. Jack grinned. How long will you guys keep this up? Until your test ends. Neo almost sighed. He could sustain himself with the divine energy he was devouring. However, there was no need to reject the kind intention of others. Thank you. The dinner was more rowdy than Neo would have liked. Still, he couldn't deny he enjoyed it. His friends continued to bring him food for all the time he was there. Time passed. Soon the midterms began. Neo skipped them. He could afford it thanks to being in the student council. While he waited for Professor Daniel to leave, he continued to train his immortal skill in death and darkness elements. Second semester began. New teams were made. Jack recruited more members after Neo told him about whom he could invite. Their team was famous, and there was no shortage of students who wanted to join. More time passed. Neo reached 150 of 150 EXP in Immortal and became Grade 2 Awakened. He grew stronger, and his masteries over death and darkness continued to improve along with his spell masteries. Few months later, Neo lost his position as the ruler due to his falling grades. He had not participated in a single activity ever since he came to the academy. Even if the student council let him pass the exams, he still received minimum grades. Second year began. Neo missed Amelia's graduation ceremony. He should have been kicked out of the academy by now due to the number of mandatory exams and events he skipped. It was thanks to him being the former ruler and a member of student council that he was not expelled. Neo was sure Elizabeth had a hand, too, in stopping his expulsion. More time passed. Jack, Arthur, Felix, and others came to tell Neo to give up on the Professor Daniels test. They told him he was wasting his precious time in the academy. Neo persisted. Time element was important. It was the power that could help him become the strongest. He was ready to sacrifice his academy life for it. The new first-year students started to visit the meditation hall to see the crazy ruler who gave up on everything for no apparent reason. Neo became a laughingstock as time passed, from a divine ruler to a fallen genius. More time passed. His immortal reached 200 out of 200 EXP, and he became a Grade 1 awakened. Jack visited Neo one day. He did not come at the usual time. He was alone. His eyes were swollen. His gaze was blank, and he looked as if he had exhausted his tears. He sat beside Neo. "We should have listened to you and not accepted the mission." As he spoke, he started to tear up and doubled over. Mars. Mars is dead. Neo did not say anything. He had expected it when he heard they were accepting the Labyrinth S-rank mission. "We couldn't do anything. We were helpless against the Minotaur. That thing wouldn't die. It was immortal." Jack's voice cracked. He continued to give the mission report to Neo. "Mars decided to stay back and buy time for us to escape." Jack was broken. He had surpassed Mars long ago. Still, he had been helpless when he was needed. He blamed himself. It wasn't Jack's fault. It was Neo's. If only he had been there. If only he had given up on his own selfish needs and went with them on the mission. Jack wiped his tears. "We are holding a funeral for Mars tomorrow. We couldn't recover the body. We are doing the funeral without it." He did not tell Neo to attend the funeral, but his intentions were clear. Neo shook his head. "I'm sorry. I see." Neo closed his eyes after Jack left. Fuck. Mars was supposed to die in a large-scale attack that would happen on Academy. He would have sacrificed himself to protect others. But Neo stopped the attack long ago by sabotaging the mystical fauna owner. He thought it would have been enough. This damned fate. Neo bit his lips. He knew it was Mars' choice. The reason why Mars sacrificed himself was because Mars knew he was bound to die in a few months due to his constitution. The reason, however, did not make it easier for Neo to accept his friend's death. Despite everything, Neo had no intention of reviving Mars. Knowing Mars' personality, he wouldn't want to be revived. The only thing Neo could do was continue his training. More time passed. It was the day of Neo's graduation. He stayed in the meditation hall. Neo would have to leave Academy tomorrow morning since the graduation was completed. The sun reached the peak and hid behind the horizon in a few hours. He waited for Professor Daniel until the sun started to rise again. So he never really planned to teach me. He stood up and was about to leave when he heard the voices from the office for the first time in 2 years. "You are late." "Shut up." The door opened. Professor Daniel stepped out and noticed Neo. "You're still here? How much time passed?" He took out his pocket watch. His face stiffened. 2 years. He opened his mouth and closed it, unable to form his next words. In the end, he took a few seconds to ask, "You have been here for 2 years?" "Yes." Professor Daniel's face went through countless changes. Shock, disbelief, grief, acceptance. He covered his face with both hands and sighed. "Come inside. You have paid enough." The two entered the office. Professor Daniel sat on the head seat while Neo sat across the table. He stared at Neo silently. "Do you hate me?" He chuckled bitterly when Neo remained silent. Shaking his head, he changed the question. "Why do you want to awaken the time element?" 2 years isn't something a person who would waste on a spontaneous decision. "Because it's powerful." Neo's answer surprised Professor Daniel. "Powerful, huh? Is that why you use darkness, even though it's a forbidden element?" "Yes." Professor Daniel massaged his brows. He leaned back on a chair and stared at the roof. "The answer is clear as day, but I'll still ask the question. Are you sure you want to awaken time element? It is one of the 13 forbidden elements for a reason. I want to awaken it." Sigh. Professor Daniel loosed his tie and stood up. "Okay, I'll help you awaken." He circled the table and stood behind Neo. There are 3 ways to awaken an element: natural awakening, trauma awakening, and immersion awakening. He continued, natural awakening means waiting for your element to awaken naturally. With trauma awakening, we wouldn't know which of your dormant elements will awaken if they awaken. The only choice left is immersion awakening. Do you know how it works? Professor Daniel asked. Experiencing the element. That's how immersion awakening works. We experience the element, and it increases the chances of awakening, Neo answered. Yes, that's correct. Swim in water to awaken water element. Feel the warmth of fire to awaken fire element. This is immersion awakening. However, the chances of awakening from immersion awakening are pitifully low. He continued to explain. Neo knew a lot of information, but not all of it. He listened carefully. The chances can be increased by going through a violent immersion. Drown in the water to awaken water element. Burn yourself to awaken fire element. What are you trying to say? Neo asked. You have been experiencing time for your whole life. You are already going through immersion awakening. Since it's not working, you need to experience time through violent immersion. But it can cost you your life. It's fine. I'm prepared for it. Figures. Professor Daniel sighed. Do you have water affinity? Yes. Good. He placed his palm on Neo's back. Buy a lottery ticket. I won't repeat this every time, and keep a pocket watch with you. When today approaches, come here to meet me again. What do you? I'll start with 1 week. It's important to build your resistance before I send you further back. Professor Daniel pushed him. An unnatural amount of force hit Neo. It was as if he was standing in front of the floodgates of a dam. The force was strong enough to make him think his soul was being pushed out of his body. It's the river of time. Don't let go, or you'll be washed away. Brace yourself. Resist the flow. Neo did as the professor's voice told him. He felt like a stone dropped in front of a high-pressurized water stream. It was eroding him. Suddenly, everything stopped. Neo opened his eyes, huffing. He was outside Professor Daniel's office. He took out his device. Ha ha ha, this is crazy. It works. It fucking works. Neo was back 1 week in the past. He decided to call it D7 Day, since he would meet Professor Daniel on D-Day. Wiping the blood trickling down his nostrils, he sat on the bench to calm his trembling limbs. These looks like the after effects of partial erosion. Erosion. It was one of the many types of death that could happen while traveling through time. Death from erosion was an existential death. The person would stop existing and no one would remember them. Their past, their present, their future. Everything would be erased. There were more types of deaths that came from handling time element. Time slipping and unremembrance were some Neo could recall. I should buy the lottery ticket and pocket watch. It took Neo 2 hours to shake off the after effects. They did not disappear completely. Neo still felt he was standing in front of a high-pressure water stream, but, unlike before, it was manageable. Fuck, looks like I'll keep feeling like this forever. Neo left the mediation hall. He brought a pocket watch and a lottery ticket from a nearby convenience store. I can understand the need for pocket watch, but why the lottery ticket? Despite being confused, he kept them in his pocket. The result of the lottery came out on D5 day. I lost. The number S1D5 SF1, while Neo had brought 43 EFDS 3423. It's not even the same number of digits. Neo clicked his tongue. I know which lottery number to buy next time at least. Neo had not awakened time element. He would have to probably regress a few more times. The meeting with Professor Daniel came on D0 day. Neo knocked on the door. There was no response. He checked the time. 5:03 a.m. Should I just enter the office? He opened the door. There was no problem since Professor Daniel was the one who called him. The place was empty. Neo pursued his lips. As I expected, he is. I don't remember telling you to enter without permission. Neo, turn around. Professor Daniel stood there. He looked pale. Never enter my office unless I open the door. He walked towards Neo. How did you feel? Awaken the time element. I don't think so. What about the lottery? I lost it. Professor Daniel nodded. Next time, buy the winning number. It should be easy since you saw it this time. What else did you do during this week? Nothing worthwhile except training. Neo answered, confused as to why Daniel questioned him about it. Did you meet your friends or anyone else you knew? No. Professor Daniel frowned. You need to experience time. Swimming against the flow of rive of time is one way to go about it. But doing different things in the same time period is another way to do it. You have already done nothing in the past. This time, do something to, he added, and inform me as soon as you hear the voices. Voices? The voices of darkness. No, not those ones. He shook his head. The voices lost in time are different. You'll know it when you hear them. Just inform me as soon as you can when you hear those voices. Understood. After explaining a few more things to Neo, Professor Daniel put his palm over Neo's back. I'll send you 1 week into the past again. Can't you send me further back? No, you'll be eroded. He pushed. Neo felt the sensation of standing in front of a dam's floodgates. He tried to resist. He started to lose against the overwhelming current. Just before he would have slipped, the overwhelming force hitting him disappeared. He opened his eyes and checked his device. D7 day. Neo purchased pocket watch and the winning lottery ticket. At D5 day, he got the result of the lottery. What? It's different. Author note. There is a typo in last chapter. It was said time, slipping, and unremembrance are 2 of the many types of time death. However, it should have been remembrance instead of unremembrance. Neo frowned. In this round, until today, all of his actions were the same as he had done in the last regression. He had been wary of buttery effect and made sure he did nothing different. This can't be possible. I'm sure I didn't do anything different. There is no way this is the result of butterfly effect. Then how? Suddenly, a voice spoke to him. It's the mechanism of fate. Whenever you travel through time, the fate will interfere to stop you from changing the timeline. Neo swiftly turned his head. There was no one around him. That was Professor Daniel's voice. His face hardened. The symptoms of remembrance started already. The ability to hear voices of time was called remembrance. Neo had acted oblivious in front of Professor Daniel, but he knew about the time deaths. I don't have much time left since the symptoms began already. I need to awaken my time element quickly, or I'll be lost in time. He joined the graduation ceremony. His friends were surprised when they saw him. Neo? Is that really you? Jack questioned. Yeah, I'm back. What about Professor Daniel? He agreed to teach. Before he could complete his words, he was jumped by Arthur and Felix. They hugged while laughing and crying. Neo smiled. He had ghosted them for 2 years, yet they treated him the same as ever. The ceremony ended without many incidents. Neo did not receive any honorary mentions. He was, however, the center of attention of the ceremony, just not in a good way. Arthur, Felix, Jack, Neo, and Nathan had a party in the evening. They told Neo about their academy life. He listened with a smile on his face. While waiting for D0 day, Neo checked his status. Neo Hargraves. Rank, Grade 1 Awakened. Divine Energy Purity, Grade 3 Mythic. Stats, Strength, 77. Speed, 81. Dexterity, 76. Constitution, 69. Luck, 0. Affinity, Death, Shadow, Darkness, Void, Water, Time. Magic Spell, Necrotic Touch, Ocean's Embrace, Essence Breath. Bloodline, Monarch of Death. Unique Skill, Death Immortal. Quest, Complete Barbados Training, Part 1. Training completed, March 5th. Neo pursed his lips. The stats carried over his regressions. Professor Daniel must be a high-level mastery in time if he can let me retain my stats and ranks. It's weird how I never read about him. The next day, Neo visited Professor Daniel's office. Come inside. The two sat across the table. Did you win a lottery? I didn't. Professor Daniel was slightly surprised. You lost already? How low is your luck? Even those with 2 or 3 luck can win a few lotteries until fate interferes with them. It's quite low. Professor Daniel did not ask Neo about the exact value of his luck stat after Neo dodged the question. He continued, This was the reason I told you to buy lottery tickets. Just because you can go back in time doesn't mean you are invincible. Fate's interference is one of the many roadblocks time travelers like us face. Professor Daniel stopped speaking when he realized Neo was not surprised. He asked cautiously, Did you know about fate already? I have heard about it. From who? Neo's silence answered Professor Daniel's question. Professor Daniel slowly sat up straight. His eyes grew fierce, and he stared at Neo with a hawk-like gaze. The voices of time told you about fate's interference? Yes. Damn it, why already? Professor Daniel punched the table. He stood up. The original plan was to let you adjust to the time slowly and send you further back into the past with each attempt. But we don't have that luxury. I'll chuck you as far as your body can handle. It will put immense pressure on you and increase the chances of your awakening. Neo nodded. Professor Daniel placed a palm on Neo's back. I'll say it again. Resist the flow when the river of time tries to wash you away. Do anything you can to stop yourself from slipping. If you don't, the river will drown you. Professor Daniel pushed. Neo felt a gallon of water smash into him. He staggered. The powerful current began to erode him. He gritted his teeth and tried to hold on. Neo could not tell if he had been swimming against the flow for a moment or for a month. The strong flow of the river suddenly disappeared. Neo fell to his knee, gasping, clutching his heart. He checked his device. D250 day. Blurg. Blood mixed his bile juice came out of his throat. Neo wiped his mouth with the sleeves. He was trembling, short of breath. Suddenly, another powerful force hit Neo. He tried to resist, and he slipped. Neo felt himself being washed away. He was drowning. He tried to resist. His body and soul were strained to the limit. The powerful current disappeared, and Neo reappeared in the corridor outside the Professor Daniel's office. He used the wall as a support. What date is it today? His voice cracked. The thick dark circles beneath his eyes and his pale, thin face made him look malnourished. D150 day. Neo bit his lips. Time slipped 90 days forward. From D240 to D150. He tried to suppress the aftereffects of time traveling when suddenly he heard a shout. Neo! Jack rushed to him with dinner in his hands. It had been his turn to bring the dinner to Neo. He never expected to see Neo like this on a usual routine. What is happening to you? He swiftly took out his device and contacted the medical ward. Neo cut the call before Jack could call someone. And no need to worry. I'm just training. What do you mean training? You look like you are about to die. I'm completely fine. Neo heaved his stomach. Jack's expression worsened when he noticed the blood mixed in puke. He helped Neo sit. Take deep breaths. In and out. In and out. While Neo followed his advice, Jack opened the dinner he had brought and gave him water. He massaged Neo's back. How are you feeling now? It's better now. Neo drank the water and nodded. Thank you. Watching his condition, Jack opened his mouth and closed it, unable to decide whether he should say his mind or not. What is it? Neo questioned, still sure breath. You should stop. I don't know what is going on, but this isn't training. You're just killing yourself. Don't worry. I'm immortal. Neo tried to chuckle when Jack's face contorted. I told you I'm Hades' kind. Death isn't enough to kill me. But, let's go. Neo stood up, cutting off Jack's words. Jack's eyes widened. You are leaving the hall? Yes, the professor agreed to teach me. I don't need to stay here anymore. A sense of relief washed over Jack. The two returned to the Seraphim Hall. Jack had to support Neo to help him walk. The two entered Neo's dorm room. Neo frowned when he sensed multiple presences inside. I'll take a leak. See you later. Jack tried to slip away, but Neo grabbed his shoulder. Did you tell them about my condition? No. Look me in the eye before you answer. Yes, I messaged them and told them I was bringing you. Neo massaged the bridge of his nose. He could feel the headache coming before he took a step inside. Neo, you are back. Nathan, Arthur, and Felix came out into the hall. They surrounded him and asked questions about his health and why he looked half dead. Neo stared at them with a blank gaze. He wanted to rest, but they wouldn't shut up. Shifting his gaze, he stared at Jack. I'm starting to wonder if it was correct choice to save this guy. After a loud meal, Neo finally thought he could rest until he was hit by another bombshell. You guys are going to sleep here? Yes. Isn't it okay? Felix stared at Neo with puppy eyes. No, it's not. Get out. Boo. But we are worried about you. You suddenly grew thin and started puking blood today. What if it happens again? Neo stared at her with an unimpressed gaze. Felix stared at Jack with a side eye, asking for assistance. But Jack looked away when Neo turned to him. Pretty please. Felix continued to persuade him. Neo's clicked his tongue. Whatever, but nobody will sleep with me in my room. The next morning, Neo woke up from the noises. He noticed everyone was in a hurry. What's up with you guys? We have out midterms from today. Damn it, I forgot about them because of everything that happened yesterday. Jack was as pale as a sheet. Arthur was nowhere to be seen. He was probably on his morning jog, having prepared for the exam. Nathan was muttering gibberish while revising everything for the 7th time. Felix, although prepared, was helping Jack, since Jack had not prepared anything. Jan, I'll come too, Neo said. Huh? You? Have you studied anything? Felix questioned.